Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Carl Lund. I'm really excited to be your instructor for the learning community this semester. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce myself and to explain how the course will work. Of course, this is an online course. There are no class meetings. It is completely asynchronous. There are due dates. Work is due weekly. And you can find the information in a couple of different places. The course is divided into weekly modules. In general, work is due every Monday night at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. I have what I call a grace period for online courses, which means as long as work is turned in within 24 hours of the due date, it is still accepted for full credit. It will still be marked late in D2L, but it will not be penalized for being late. The syllabus talks more about late work policies. I understand that you are teaching and you have lots of demands and stresses on your time. Once during the semester, you may request a 1-week extension also without any penalty. That's described in the syllabus. If you have ongoing issues, please contact me and we can work something out. I very much want you to be successful in the course. This course is basically a book study. The book we're using is American Education by Joel Spring. And it's the book I'm using that I bought is the 19th edition. There's a newer version, the 20th edition, that I didn't choose because it's newer and therefore harder to find used and more expensive. There's also the 18th and 17th editions, which are a little bit older, but not terribly old, at least as far as I know. It doesn't matter which edition of sort of those you use. I would discourage you from using one that was published, more than 10 years ago. But there aren't huge changes from edition to edition, as you know with textbooks. And so basically how most weeks will work after this first week is you will read the chapter in the book, and then your primary assignments in the course will be discussion boards about what you've read. And I'm doing something that I enjoy, and I'm willing to change. In fact, you can make this your own as you want. But what I encourage you to at least try doing is a 3-2-1 format. And I would guess that many of you, I say many of you because I'm used to classes of 20 or 25, and there's only 5 of us, so it may not be many of you, maybe one or maybe none. In a class of 25, I would say many of you have probably done 3-2-1s at different times in your professional careers. I think I was first introduced to them in professional development when I was teaching. And basically the 3-2-1 format is 3 big things, 3 main ideas, your 3 most important takeaways from, in this case, the reading. The two connections. And by connections, I mean connections to your teaching, connections to other courses you've taken, connections to other life experiences, even connections as we go on to other things we've talked about in this course. And then a meaningful question about the material. And by meaningful, I mean a question that is not a right there question. It's not answering the chapter. You couldn't go to Google and type it in and say, oh yeah, there's the answer. It's a thought-provoking question. You can use a different format if you prefer. I'm not going to force you to do this 3-2-1 format because I don't like it as a student, when I'm forced to use a certain format. But I encourage you to at least try it. No matter what, a chapter response should be at least 6 to 8 complete sentences. And it should include a question about the reading, whether you do a 3-2-1 format or not. Some of the chapters might really resonate with you, and some might not resonate as much, because this is a really wide-ranging course. I struggled a little bit trying to find a good resource to use because there's so many topics listed in the course description, and I didn't want you to have to get more than one book. So I assigned this book because it covers most of our topics, and then I will supplement this with my own materials about curriculum theory, because that's in the course description. And then once you've posted, you should be able to see your classmates' posts, and I would like for you to reply to at least one of those posts, and the reply at least 2 sentences. I'm encouraging you to please try to post and reply on separate days. So like make your post on a Saturday and then reply to someone else's on Sunday or Monday night. That way we all get a chance to see each other's posts. That's only a request. It's not a specific requirement, as you'll see, and you can read more about it here in chapter discussion board information. Beyond the discussion boards, we're going to have basically 3 majorish assignments. 2 of them are related, which I'm calling the educational issues assignment. And I think I'll talk about that in a separate video, so this one doesn't get more than 10 minutes long. The other one will be coming up in week 10 when we study curriculum, which is an assignment about curriculum controversies. Those are big assignments. Those are worth 200 points as the syllabus describes. That is about a third of your total course grade. There's also an anti-racism assignment in connection with both what good teaching practices should be and also what the state of Minnesota wants schools to focus on more. And so we will talk about diversity in the first few weeks of the class. Obviously, that will be a theme throughout the class, but especially in the first few weeks. And I'm asking you, starting in week 6, week 7, there we go, to think about, just very informally describe 2 or 3 things that schools either are doing, because maybe the school that you're working in already has really good methods in place, or things that you think schools should be doing to help create a more just society for all people, regardless of race, ethnicity, class, sexual orientation, whatever. But obviously our primary focus here is anti-racism, but really we're looking for social justice in all its forms for all peoples. I should say that for all of your assignments, I'm a former English teacher, so spelling and grammar always count. I'm not one of those people who, if you get 3 things wrong, I will dock a letter grade, as I've had professors who would, but it is considered as part of your final grade always for each assignment. So the anti-racism assignment, and then there is, like I said, an assignment we'll talk about more when we get to that point. You're all aware, I'm sure, about different controversies over curriculum, both contemporary ones, but also maybe historical ones, depending on what your personal background is. I was an elementary education major in the 90s, and the big controversy then was over how to teach reading. Should it be whole language? Should it be phonics? Should it be something else? And controversies like that occur in all different content areas. And it's not a new thing. They've gone on for decades and decades and decades. So you're going to research one of those, either a contemporary one or historical one, of whatever content area interests you. And I can help you find more about that if you need to when we get to that point. Let me end this just by giving a little bit of information about me and my background. I've taught in colleges now full-time for 10 years. This is my 10th year. And 8 of those 10 years have been in teacher ed programs. I spent 2 years teaching math at a community college. This is my first graduate-only level class, so I'm excited. And feel free to provide feedback. Send me emails of things you like or don't like along the way, and we can make changes as needed within reason. I'm trying to make a course that will be worthwhile for you, that won't feel as busy work, but that will still require you to engage with the scholarship and research in the field of education to become a better teacher. So before I moved into higher education, I did teach in K-12 schools for 15 years. And somewhat unusually, I think, compared to most of my colleagues in higher ed, in teacher ed, I taught at all 3 levels. I taught in elementary school, I taught in middle school, and I taught in high school. So I taught 5th grade in Las Vegas for a year. I taught 6th grade and was the grades 3 through 6 computer teacher in Eagle Butte, South Dakota on the Cheyenne River Reservation for 3 years. And then I moved to Wichita, Kansas. I taught in the Wichita Public Schools for 11 years. I taught middle school for 5 years, where I taught math, language arts, social studies, and AVID, which is a college prep / study skills program for students in the academic middle, particularly first-generation college students, or you who would be first-generation college students. And then at the high school level, I taught history, math, and English. My personal academic background, I was an elementary education major, As an undergraduate, I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Superior with elementary education and middle school social studies. Over the years, I went back to add additional endorsements. Some of those were done in Kansas, where you can add endorsements through testing only. And in other cases, I took enough classes that Minnesota would accept my endorsement, so I am licensed in Minnesota for elementary ed, as well as secondary social studies, secondary communication arts and literature, and secondary math. So I figure if I get tired of higher ed, I'll go back into K-12 after the pandemic, maybe. My real areas of interest in education are gifted education. That is a passion of mine that will probably come out at some point in this class, because I have thoughts about how Minnesota handles gifted education. As I mentioned, as an LEd major, we had to have a teachable minor, and my area was social studies. I love history. I love geography. I think they're undertaught, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon, unfortunately. So that's another area of interest for me. And I also have an interest in math education. So gifted education, social studies education, especially history and geography, and math education are kind of my three big areas of interest. I guess a close fourth one is middle school education, and that may or may not overtake one of the others any particular given day. I do have lots of interests. I have a bunch of master's degrees, instructional design technology, gifted education, library science, and history. My PhD is in leadership with a concentration in mathematics. And then I'm right now working on a PhD in history as well. So I keep busy, just like all of you keep busy. Just like you are juggling work and school, I am doing the same thing. And so I do understand. I don't want this to be a waste of your time. And so as part of that, although I will occasionally upload videos like this, they're optional. I'm not making you watch them, and I'm not going to track who watches them and who does not. I may occasionally, if someone sends an email and the answer is in a video, I'll say, have you watched the video? But I'll still answer it. Because I want to value your time. I understand your time is valuable. And I would like your feedback in an online class if you think stuff like this is helpful or not. I think some people like it. I think some people don't care. Maybe some people actively dislike it. I don't know. So this will be an occasional thing. I don't think it'll be every week unless you all would like it to be every week. So let me know. I look forward to getting to know you virtually as best we can. If you have questions, please email me. My email address is in the syllabus. It is carl.lund@bemidjistate.edu. Please make sure that's the address you use. I did take a class at BSU, so I also have a student email account floating around out there that I never check. I'm sure the password, in fact, is long expired. So please make sure you use that address. Don't, when my undergraduate students, at least a couple of them, just type my name in the email client, and they said, we sent you an email. And I'm like, I know you did, I believe you did, but I never got it because I will bet good money went to my student account. So make sure you use that email, carl.lund@bemidjistate.edu. I will just end by saying the final things about me, because you'll hear more about this probably as we go on. Originally born and raised in Minnesota. I was raised in the town of Bruno, Minnesota. Bruno is about, not in the town, 5 miles south of the town. But Bruno has about 100 people in it, maybe 115 when I was growing up. It is about 2 hours or so, 90 minutes, 2 hours north of Minneapolis, about an hour south of Duluth off of Interstate 35. So a rural, small-town community. As you might imagine, my first teaching job being in Las Vegas, Nevada, was quite a bit of culture shock. And that may or may not show up as we go through the course, some of those experiences. And I'm interested in hearing about your experiences too. I know that many people teach in the same place for their entire career. And I am kind of in awe of that, because I have this sort of wanderlust that once I stay someplace for 2 or 3 years, I just get antsy. Plus, I get annoyed by administration kind of easily, so then I go somewhere else. Anyway, looking forward to a great semester. If you do have questions, please reach out. Let me know how I can help. And good luck in all of your work this semester. I will see you later.